From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's Women at the Wheel.
Hello and welcome to the Women at the Wheel podcast. I'm Emma Henderson with Aftermarket News, and we have a very special guest with us today. That's Autumn Lamb. She is the Director of Marketing and Brand Strategy for GSP North America. Hi, Autumn. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you in studio today.
No, thank you, Emma. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited for this opportunity.
Yeah, we've met a few times, but never in Akron in the studios, so this is really nice. And you actually recently got the promotion to Director of Marketing and Brand Strategy, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you share what your role involves now, and also a little bit about how you worked your way up from where you started with the company?
Of course. So I started with GSP about 6 years ago, and really when I started there, our position in the market was really just known as a Chinese manufacturer, but we had so much more of our story to tell. And me coming in, we didn't really have any marketing assets or anything really to support our partners. So that was really the main start of when I came on board, was really to kind of set up that foundation and structure. So over the last 6 years, I've really been able to dial in the brand and, really work on our marketing initiatives to better support our partners. And you can definitely see it a lot more in the market now. And we just continue to build upon that, kind of really hone in on some of the initiatives that we're working on, and really just not knowing ourselves as only a CV axle manufacturer, but really a complete undercar solution now as we continue to expand into other offerings. But, we've cleaned up our catalog, we continue to work and improve with partners, and just continue to show what GSP has to offer to the industry. And when I first started, we were really working on just, like I said, marketing, developing the marketing materials, just having those tangible assets that we didn't really have before. Whereas now, after 6 years and just kind of where I am, is, now working on kind of that strategy and initiative to really kind of position ourselves and the product that we offer to the market to be more at an advantage, right? We are a global manufacturer that manufactures our parts, so it's really a good story to tell, and it's my job to do it. So it is an exciting opportunity to be in this position. I have built our marketing, so I've been able to see it grow and what has came to fruition, and now it's really time to hone in on what we're really kind of putting out there and what we want to show, the industry.
So as we're starting to see some economic uncertainty, 2025 has been pretty interesting. I am curious what you see as your role to help make consumers feel comfortable in the market right now.
Well, especially with our partners, we just maintain a close communication with them. I work a lot with my sales team and closely with my sales team, so we're in constant communication with our partners and just making sure that they're aware of what's going on and what we're doing, right, to either be proactive in the situation. I don't think it's just this year, even though 2025 has had a lot already and it's only May. However, COVID happened and we are in an industry that is dynamic. It's constantly evolving. There's always going to be situations that come into play that will affect maybe some or have some uncertainties. However, it's really how you work with your partners, and we really try to make sure that our partners understand and know and are aware of what's going on, especially from our side, right? So to make them feel a little bit more at ease and just kind of how we monitor the situation at hand.
Absolutely. So it's clear for anyone who knows you, really, that you are very involved in the automotive aftermarket beyond just your role at GSP. So tell me a little bit about what leadership roles you're taking on right now and why you feel that it's so important to be involved beyond just your company.
So I'm a part of CAWA. I sit a part of the Manufacturer Advisory Council. I was actually their scholarship chair last year, and we exceeded scholarship fundraising. We raised $70,000, which has been awesome.
That's amazing.
And I feel proud to have, been able to contribute to that. Also, I'm a part of Yang. I'm not maybe as involved on that side. However, I'm trying to get a little bit more involved with it because, women in auto care has always been, I think, a little bit more into my heart. But I am a part of the Yang mentorship program. So I'm a part of Liz Whalen's, which is great because I get to meet youngsters outside of women in auto care. And so it really kind of ties into just kind of expanding into different perspectives and just getting other people to get to know them. And like I said, as I'm part of Women in Auto Care, I sit on the Leadership Council as one of the social media co-chairs, and that has been an amazing experience. And I really just like to stay involved because it really allows me, not just as a marketing director, but also is to get better familiar with the aftermarket and the industry and what's going on in the industry too, but also to bounce ideas off professionals. We have so many industry professionals and experts in this industry that we can learn so much from. And you know, the times are changing, and I feel like it's something that we always talk about, is that there's a gap of younger professionals coming into the industry. So it's really good for us to be involved. And one of my sales guys, he kind of pushed me to join CAWA, and that was really the start of my involvement, really, more or less. And from there, what we've done is really kind of bridge into other areas and really allowed me to expand into a lot of more leadership roles. But it also has excelled my career, I think, too, because I've been able to get to know people, learn from them, and also be able to implement some of the ideas and just things that I've learned. And it has been such an amazing growth experience, not just for our company, but also for me in being a young professional in this industry. I don't have an auto enthusiast background, but I have a marketing, logistics, and expertise that I really want to apply. And I'm so eager to bring those executions and implementations to the market that, you know, having some of that expertise or that support from the industry and that involvement allows me to be able to expand my career and also what I do at my job.
Absolutely.
Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
And speaking of expanding opportunities, this was my first Women in Auto Care this year, and it was phenomenal. And you were one of the speakers, and you used this wonderful garden analogy. So tell us a little bit about how that speech came to be and what the message was behind it for the people who weren't able to be there.
Of course. I'm a gardener, maybe not an avid gardener, especially after learning that I killed my garden. But it really, when I moved to South Carolina about 3 years ago, I have this huge land, and I thought, you know, I wanted to get into gardening as a hobby. Well, job responsibilities changed and everything else, and my garden died. And I started realizing, okay, Autumn, you can't take on this whole chunk. And what are you doing? Because there's things that are happening, right? Opportunity costs, sacrifice, things like that. And it really allowed me not just only to assess my garden, but also too is just the way that we look at life. Right? There's always going to be opportunity costs, but also too is what effort are we putting into ourselves to make sure that what we're doing is something that's nurturing and it's our authentic and successful life. And I think the garden analogy is great because whether it's you as a gardener, you might know somebody that's gardening, or just, you know, I think we all took biology, or, you know, we all know the things that
allegedly at one point.
Yeah, right? I think at that point, it just allows a very good connection and analogy to understand what it takes to nurture and care, not just for a plant, but really personally for yourself. I've really been on a path that's really career focused and oriented, and I think because of that has allowed me to grow in different ways, even ways I didn't even think possible. But, you know, nurturing myself and kind of my career has allowed me to excel and be where I'm at. And I also want to share that knowledge with other people, because a garden isn't representative of just one person or one flower. It's a whole community. And there's been people that have tended to my garden and has really been there to support me as mentors, as supporters, as just, you know, a person to talk to. And having that opportunity with somebody, I want to give that back to other people. And if I can and do that, I want to give back and make sure that people know that there are people in their corner or even in their garden.
Absolutely. I just loved the analogy. And that kind of brings us to, so you've given speeches, you're very involved. Another thing you are is very passionate about introducing people to the industry. Now, you have been in the industry for more than 5 years now, so like long enough to kind of know the ropes. Why is it so important for you to take on a newcomer and kind of show them around? I mean, the aftermarket is a very unique atmosphere.
It really is. And so I've been in the actual automotive industry for about 10 years. I did spend my first beginning years inside the aftermarket performance, which is totally a different ballpark than hard part side. And I've really been able to kind of see the interactions that I've had personally in situations that has made me either feel intimidated, maybe a little bit more alone, just areas that I've dealt with personally that I don't want somebody else to feel. And then also too is, I mentioned before, is I'm not an auto enthusiast. So my background isn't necessarily automotive expertise, but really where my strength is in the marketing side and the execution of that. So being able to show and have that support is something that's really important. People have supported me in ways that has allowed me to be able to really hone in and express my authentic self and just be myself without having to try too hard or anything, and allow my talent to shine or show my knowledge, right? And I think as our industry continues to grow and as we continue to bring in younger professionals and just people from all over, the industry or their backgrounds might not be always automotive. And so being able to have some of that support, inclusivity really changes that a lot, or it allows you to let down that guard to not take away from really what matters at that time.
Absolutely. And we are seeing a lot of new people. We're seeing a lot of women enter the industry or take on bigger roles in the industry, which is phenomenal. We love that at Women at the Wheel. But also looking back, when you entered the industry, I'm curious, what would Autumn now, what advice would she have for Autumn who was just joining the aftermarket?
I think one of the things is don't ever stop believing in yourself. We all face barriers and challenges, no matter if it's personal, professional, at a job, in the industry, whatever it is. But when you put passion behind, and that kind of resonates back to my speech session at Women in Auto Care, when you put passion behind it, no matter what happens, you will find a way to break down that barrier, even break that glass ceiling, right? But you cannot do that without passion, because passion really drives that no matter what difficulty you have. And looking back at Autumn, 6 years ago or 8 years ago or 9 years ago, it's like, I'm so proud of her for not giving up on things and stuff and being able to get involved or put yourself out there. It's not easy. I have been in a room where, people might, I don't know if they're intimidated or they just, they haven't talked to me, but, I've been able to now build my career and introduce myself instead of saying, hey, let me be a wallflower. Instead, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm gonna go introduce myself to people, and that really changed it. And I want people to feel that same way. So when I see people standing there by themselves, I really try to go up to them, say hi, acknowledge them, and hopefully change their experience as well, because it does allow us to focus on what we're passionate about. And, if you don't believe in yourself, how can you have other people believe in you? And it's one of the things that it sounds so easy, but it's so hard for us sometimes, because we can also be our own worst critics. But, there's people in your corner, and, as long as you have your community and everything about it, I would just say, keep going. Don't not believe in yourself, because there's going to be somebody, even if they don't vocalize it, they will be in your corner to support you. And, I've had that, and I want to continue to be that for other people as well. So don't leave passion behind. Passion is really what drives everything, and make sure you believe in that too.
Absolutely. It sounds like you have become quite the advocate, but you're also being proactive, which I think is huge. It's hard to be proactive when you're first entering an industry because you're still familiarizing yourself with it. But now, because you know all these people, you're able to just jump in and say, hey, why don't I help get you familiar a little quicker?
Yeah, and also too, it's like, we talked before, and you were new to the industry, and I never wanted you to feel, like you didn't know anybody. So I always reach out to you and make sure you knew, hey, if you need somebody, just make sure you text me or whatever. And just being able to have somebody say that to you, it can change the way that you receive the information or that situation that you're in. It allows you to focus on maybe building more connections or now knowing more people. And then that way, instead of entering a room alone, you're entering a room by knowing person. And even if it's just one person, that impact can make a difference.
It really can. I walked into a breakfast at Apex, and I didn't know a single person except for you. And it was so good to see you, because I was like, oh, good, I recognize someone. So keep doing what you're doing. It does mean a lot to people. And I'm so grateful for your friendship. And I think
thank you.
We here at Women at the Wheel are so happy that we were able to have you in studio as one of our guests. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate being here and sharing this time with you too, Emma.
And to everyone out there, Have a great day.